90% of the world's trade by volume happens through maritime shipping. And this shipping industry is highly carbon intensive as it releases a huge amount of CO2 and greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Hello and welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nankyoliar and today we will talk about the decarbonization target of the global shipping industry. So this global shipping industry is highly carbon intensive because it relies heavily on the burning of fossil fuels. So it's a highly carbon intensive industry, and that is the reason that the International Maritime Organization or the IMO has set a decarbonization standard, a decarbonization target for this maritime shipping industry. This is going to happen in a phase-wise manner, and the target is 20% reduction by 2030, 70% reduction by 2040, and finally net zero by 2050. So this is going to happen in a phase-wise manner. We'll start with 20%, then 70%, and finally net zero will be achieved by 2050. And what does decarbonization mean? It means that now we will be moving from fossil fuels to green fuels. And what are green fuels? Green fuel is a fuel that is generated from renewable sources. Renewable sources like solar energy, hydro energy, wind energy, tidal energy, anything which is not fossil fuel, which emits very less or minimal or zero greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. That is green fuel, and in the decarbonization target of shipping industry, we wish to transition from using fossil fuels to green fuels. And some major green fuels are green ammonia, green methanol, and green hydrogen. These are some most important green fuels. Right now we are more adopted towards methanol because it is being adopted faster. We already have the technology to adopt methanol. This is being viewed as a transition fuel, whereas our goal is to move towards green ammonia because green ammonia promises a zero emission operation, net zero emission operation. So our target is to move towards green ammonia. Right now we are not very adopted towards that because the storage and handling of ammonia is trickier than methanol. So methanol is being treated as a transition fuel, but our goal is to move towards green ammonia. Now if we look at the production and usage of green fuel, so these fuels are produced from renewable sources, as I already mentioned. So green hydrogen is produced through the electrolysis of water, which is powered by renewable sources, for example solar energy. So if the electrolysis or the splitting of H2O into H2 and O2 happens through the electricity that is generated from any renewable source, that produces green hydrogen. Green ammonia is synthesized by combining green hydrogen with nitrogen, and green methanol is formed from green hydrogen and captured CO2 from industrial sources. What do we mean by captured CO2? Captured CO2 is the carbon dioxide that was released from the factories or industries, but instead of being emitted into the atmosphere, it was trapped and it was stored somewhere for other purposes. So we have captured CO2, and this is the part of a bigger technology which is CCUS, Carbon Capture Utilization and Storage Technology. So we make use of this captured CO2 to produce green methanol. And if we look at the problems and challenges of this technology, so just like every new technology, there are some similar challenges in adoption, which are high costs. Because we require a lot of R&D for any new technology that requires infrastructure. So huge cost, huge research cost is also associated. Supply shortage is also there because the demand is very high. Our atmosphere is polluted, the environment is being challenged, but the supply right now is not at par with the demand. There are technological barriers because we need to invest more in the research and development in the infrastructure. So there are technological barriers, there are infrastructure barriers because, as I already mentioned, that ammonia needs proper handling, proper care in terms of storage facility. So we need to invest more in terms of our infrastructure also. And what kind of an opportunity is this for India? So India can view this as a golden opportunity because we have an abundance of renewable energy, renewable sources like solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy. So we can make use of that and we can generate more and more of green fuel. So once we produce a lot, automatically we will also be able to export the surplus, and in turn we can boost our economy. So this can be viewed as a golden opportunity for India, where India can leverage its strength in solar energy and invest in electrolyzer manufacturing and carbon capture infrastructure. This in turn will position India as a major exporter in green fuels. And how can India do all these things? India can do this by providing policy incentives. Just like every new policy, whenever we need to have adoption of any new technology, we need to give in new policy incentives so that people can avert the risk, people can be encouraged to invest more. For example, sovereign guarantee. Sovereign guarantee is a formal promise that a government makes where it will back any financial obligation like a loan or any other dependency when a private investor or the private partner fails to do so. So the private investors will feel encouraged to invest more because their risk is now being averted. It is being taken care of by the government. Then the government also needs to provide production link incentive schemes so that the manufacturers, the producers, the exporters can be more encouraged to invest in this thing. Incentivizing the carbon capture and utilization infrastructure and technology. And we can also look at partnerships with global shipbuilders, which are Japan and South Korea. So they have excellent shipbuilding capacity. So we can think of collaboration with these countries also so that we can learn from their technology, we can learn from their expertise and in turn create more and more of green fuel for our maritime shipping. That was all for today's video. I hope you understood how are we going to transition from fossil fuels to green fuels. Now let us look at a practice question for prelims. With reference to the decarbonization of global shipping sector, consider the following statements. 1. Green ammonia emits no greenhouse gases when used as a marine fuel. 2. Green methanol can be stored and transported at ambient temperature, unlike green ammonia. 3. India has already developed sufficient domestic capacity to manufacture all the components required for green hydrogen production. Which of the statements is or are correct? A. 2 only, B. 1 and 3 only, C. 1, 2 and 3, or D. 1 and 2 only. Please provide your answers in the comment section and I will pin down the correct one. Thank you for watching.